Have you ever wondered what's going on behind the scenes of some of the big money marketing campaigns out there? Like, have you ever wondered, is there stuff that's happening to drive sales conversions that the public doesn't see? Well, if so, you're going to love this training. Hi, this is Todd Brown from MarketingFunnelAutomation.com. What you're about to see are the 8 secret sequences that power MFA's world-class marketing campaigns. I'm talking about the sequences that we use that are operating behind the scenes to drive double-digit sales conversions. Now, before we jump in, just a couple of housekeeping points that I want to make. First, what you're about to see does require work. Yes, it will require time, effort, and energy on your part. But the thing that I want you to recognize is this, that it truly does take just one successful front-end marketing campaign, one successful, effective customer acquisition marketing campaign to forever change your business. Fact is, what most people don't know is that I grew the entire back of Marketing Funnel Automation off of one single customer acquisition campaign that we ran for almost 18 months, driving cold traffic and acquiring new customers every single day. See, it only takes one effective campaign to forever change your business, your sales, your customer list size, your income, your entire business, really. But here's the key. That's not going to happen if you follow what the average marketers do. If you look for the fastest way to get a campaign online, if you look for the shortcuts to getting a campaign up, or if you think that all it takes is an opt-in page, a sales page, an order form, and an upsell. Fact of the matter is that it's really one home run campaign that can forever change your business. And when we create campaigns at Marketing Funnel Automation, we take the mindset of we're going to treat this campaign as if it was the only marketing campaign that we would have. And therefore, we go the distance with every campaign. We treat it like it's the only campaign that we will ever have. So we're not looking for the shortcuts. We're not looking for the things to cut out. We're looking for what we can put into this campaign that will increase sales, increase customer acquisition, and make us more money. And that's what you're going to find in this training. Now, the second point that I want to make is this, that you don't have to implement all 8 sequences into a marketing campaign or into your different marketing campaigns right now. You can start with one and you can add additional sequences over time. So you don't have to wait until you have a complete set of these 8 sequences in order to get started. You can get started right away with your first secret sequence. The final point that I want to make before we get started is this, that this is not about technology. What you're going to see in this training is us using Infusionsoft. I've used Infusionsoft as our CRM and email platform for well over a decade now. And that's the CRM of choice for us. But that doesn't mean that you need to use Infusionsoft. There are tons of tools out there today that allow you to do very similar things to what Infusionsoft does, in some cases even better. And the last kind of add-on point that I want to make to that is this. Don't ever allow your technology to dictate your marketing. Marketing is the lifeblood of your business, and marketing should dictate everything else. And that includes the technology that you use. Why do I say that? I say that because if you find yourself at any point saying, well, my tool doesn't do that, or my software doesn't do that, or my email autoresponder doesn't do that, what I would say to you is find a new tool. Find the tool and use the tool and tools that allow you to do the best, most powerful marketing possible. Now, with that said, we need to start by covering the foundation of every campaign. See, because the 8 secret sequences are really like the seasoning on the campaign. They are the things that we add in after we've nailed the foundation of every marketing campaign. And so I want to very quickly run through these just so that you understand where we kind of or what type of campaign we're adding these secret sequences onto. And so the first foundational element of every marketing campaign that we create is what's called a big marketing idea. Now, likely you've heard me talk about this before. You know that this is the single biggest breakthrough, learning this process, understanding how to create, develop, nurture big marketing ideas, that this was the single biggest breakthrough in my 15 plus years in the world of direct response marketing. A big marketing idea is the idea behind your marketing campaign. It's not the idea behind your product. It's not the latest innovation. You're not inventing the next iPhone. What we're talking about is, what's the idea? What's the hook? What's the angle behind your marketing campaign? The angle behind your marketing message? And is it new? Is it unique? Is it different? Is it fresh? Is it timely? Does it give your prospect the feeling of discovery, an aha moment, something that they want to tell their friends about? And is it emotionally compelling and intellectually interesting? Those are the main criteria of what make up a big marketing idea. And before we write a single word of copy, we always look to find the big marketing idea for the campaign. Now, side note, one of the things that we teach in the E5 Camp Masterclass is that the big idea doesn't come from your creativity. The big idea isn't found in your head or in your mind. It's found during the examination stage. It's found when you are looking at the product and you're examining the product and you're looking for the different benefits of the product, the story behind the product. You're looking for unique and interesting tidbits of information as it relates to the product. You're digging out and developing the idea from the examination. Next is what we call a bold primary promise. This is, what are you promising your prospects when they go through and engage with your marketing campaign? What's the promise of transformation? What's the promise of result? What's the promise of outcome? What's the promise of alleviation of pain? Not the benefit statements or not the benefits of your product or service, but what's the promise that you are making to prospects if they engage with your marketing message? And the key is that that promise is bold, that it's big, bold, audacious, true, and believable. The promise has to be big enough to excite the prospect enough to engage. And the promise is what tells the prospect what's in it for them. It tells them what they stand to gain, how their life stands to be improved by engaging with your marketing message. And every marketing campaign needs a bold promise. The next element is what we call unique mechanism. And this is my kind of second favorite aspect of the E5 method of designing our campaigns. A unique mechanism is nothing more than the unique piece, part, component, process, aspect, or system behind your product or service that delivers the primary promise. It's the main vehicle within your product that fulfills that primary promise. It's why your prospect can expect to experience that transformation. Now, an example of a unique mechanism might be the unique bodywork method that you use in your massage practice that alleviates your client's pain immediately. It might be the unique algorithm in your software that gets people top rankings on Google. It might be the unique recipe that you use in your birthday cakes that make them taste so delicious. It might be the unique formulation, the unique combination of nutrients in your vitamin supplement that help to bring down cholesterol. The point is that it's the unique piece, part, component, process, or aspect of your product or service that delivers the primary promise. Now, a subtle point that I want to make here is that we're not talking about the unique selling proposition or what's typically referred to as the USP. The USP, unique selling proposition, is the unique benefit that is offered by your product. It's when your product offers a unique benefit, right? And you focus on that unique benefit, a benefit that prospects can't get from any other product or service. The unique mechanism is the part of your product or service that is unique to your product or service that fulfills on the primary promise. Sometimes you can have both a unique mechanism and a USP. Other times you might not have a USP, a unique benefit. You might just have a unique mechanism behind your main promise, behind what might be the same promise that other people are offering to your prospects. The next piece of every campaign is what's called an emotion hooking lead. And the lead is the first 350, 500, 800 words of your marketing campaign. That's regardless of whether you are using a multi-part video sequence, a long-form sales letter, a video sales letter, a short-form sales letter, a webinar, an evergreen webinar, a hybrid webinar, a direct mail letter. It does not matter. The first 350, 400, 500, 800 words is what is called the lead. And the single purpose of the lead is to set the emotional hook, is to get your prospect excited emotionally about the promise and about why they can expect to experience the promise, the unique mechanism. That's the entire job. The job of the lead is not to present logical information. It's not to talk about your product. It's not to talk about the offer. It's not to talk about how great you are. It's to set the emotional hook. The rest of your marketing campaign, what we're going to talk about in just a second, is all about fulfilling on that, all about proving to your prospect why it is that they can expect to experience that promise, why it is that the unique mechanism works. That's what we call an airtight marketing argument and thesis. The body of your marketing campaign is not a sales message. Remember, we're not salespeople, we're marketers. And marketing and selling are two completely different activities. Selling is about the product, it's about the offer, it's about you and your company. Marketing is all about the prospect and their needs and their wants and their desires. It's all about education, but it's about educating them in a way that leads them to the thesis. And the thesis is that the unique mechanism can deliver the primary promise better than any other mechanism out there. And the final foundational piece of every campaign is what I call a SIN offer. And that's superior, irresistible, no-brainer offer. And what this is about is recognizing that the offer and the quality of the offer is one of the most critical elements of every campaign. The offer is one of those pieces that can make or break a campaign. A great offer, a SIN offer, can double, triple, even quadruple your sales conversions. But a poor, plain vanilla, run-of-the-mill offer can crush your sales conversions. And so what this is about is putting together the absolute best offer, most irresistible offer, a superior offer, an offer that makes your prospects say, why wouldn't I do this? An offer that would make your prospects think, I would crawl over broken glass to get this. It's that good. And so when you combine these elements, these 6 elements right here, you've got the foundation of a stellar campaign in place. And only once you've got that stellar campaign in place do you then add the seasoning, which is the first of our 8 secret sequences. And so let's talk about secret sequence number 1. I call this the initial segmentation sequence. Now, I first heard about this from my buddy Ryan Levesque, the author of the best-selling book Ask, the creator of the Ask Method. And I resisted this for a while because I thought that it was going to suppress opt-in rate. But not only did it not suppress opt-in rate, it in fact bumped our opt-in rate. And here's what it looks like. This is an example taken from the campaign that we use to release the E5 Camp Masterclass. Now, upon opt-in, what you'll see is that there is a single question with 3 options given before somebody can submit their email address. Now, what these are what we would call, or what Ryan calls, buckets. In essence, what we're doing is we are segmenting leads based on where they are at. You might segment leads differently based on your product or service, but in our case, we segmented leads based on their experience level with marketing. So you can see the first bucket is, I'm just getting started marketing online. The second bucket is, I'm marketing but not getting consistent sales. And the third bucket is, I'm generating consistent sales and want to scale my business. Now, what this allows you to do when you use this initial segmentation is it allows you to put your prospects into different follow-up buckets. In our case, what we did, as you can see here, is we had 4 buckets. We had the 3 buckets based on that little question, the initial segmentation question, and then we had a no bucket tag just in case there was some tech issue. Fortunately, we didn't have any tech issues and nobody got dropped into that bucket. But so what happened? What happens is the people that selected that first bucket, they got dropped into that bucket one tag sequence, and the second people, they got dropped into the second bucket tag sequence, and so on. Now, what we did was we sent a pre-framing email that was specific to each bucket. In this case, what you're looking at here on the screen is an example of the email that was sent out to the folks that jumped into bucket number 3. So the folks that opted in and selected, I'm generating consistent sales and want to scale my business, this was the email that they got. And you can see circled in red, it says, if you're ready to scale your business big and fast, you're going to love this, right? And then underneath the image, there's a little bit more customized copy, because what you're going to learn in the E5 Camp workshop is a new and different process for scaling customer acquisition. Now, the thing to understand is that we didn't write complete emails for each of the buckets. We tweaked the emails based on the bucket. And what this does is this gives prospects the feeling that this information is specialized for them and where they're at. And it's important for you to understand that prospects value specialized information. It's why today people happily pay specialists a lot more money than they do generalists. It's why a cardiologist makes a lot more money than a general doctor. It's why a Mercedes-Benz mechanic gets paid a heck of a lot more than a Goodyear mechanic, because people value specialized information. They want specialized information. And so what this does is give you the ability to convey that to your prospects right up front. Now look, I'm not saying to lie. If your information isn't appropriate for a different bucket, then the reality is you really shouldn't even have that bucket on your initial segmentation question. And so you only want to have buckets that are appropriate to the information that you are providing in your marketing campaign. Now, my buddy Jeff Walker took this initial segmentation sequence to another level. Here you can see Jeff's initial segmentation question. He's got 5 different buckets. Now, what Jeff did was Jeff created a customized bumper video for each one of those 5 buckets that he put at the start of his main video. So his main video, video number 1 in his launch sequence, he created a bumper video for each of the 5 buckets. That bumper video automatically played after somebody opted in based on which bucket they chose, and then it seamlessly went right into video 1. This is taking that initial segmentation sequence to another level. Just understand that by placing this one question on your opt-in page, you have the ability to create custom messages to your prospects based on where they're at, positioning your content as specialized information. Now, we're going to come back to this initial segmentation sequence in just a bit when I show you one of the later sequences and how we use these different buckets later on in the campaign. But that is secret sequence number 1. Secret sequence number 2 is what I call the behavioral triggered consumption sequence. And what this is about driving prospects through your marketing campaign in a way that gets maximum consumption of your marketing message. So let me give you an example from one of our campaigns. This just so happens to be a multi-part video sequence campaign, a campaign with 4 videos. And the only reason why I'm showing you this is because this is a much easier example to illustrate and to show you right on the screen. So what I want you to think about for a second is the way the typical marketer has been taught to do their follow-up, the way the typical marketer executes their follow-up. So what the typical marketer does is they might have an opt-in page that they drive traffic to. Somebody opts in and then they get an email about the first piece of their marketing campaign, whether it's a video, whether it is a VSL, whatever it may be. Let's say, for example, it is a multi-part video sequence. So they send out an email for video 1. And then the next day, regardless of whether the person watched video 1 or not, they send an email out to everybody, same timeline, same timing, about video 2. right? And so then the next day, regardless of whether the person has now watched video 2, they send another email out saying, hey, here is access to video 3. And then once again, regardless of whether the individual has clicked to go watch video 3 or not, the next day they send an email out to everybody about video 4. It's what we call a linear adaptive campaign, a campaign that functions as if everybody is consuming the content in the same manner, the same timing, with the same level of interest. Now, to me, this is very similar to a salesperson going out to different homes, let's say to sell windows or something like that, and giving the same exact pitch with the same exact timing and the same exact order to every single prospect, regardless of what they do or say. Meaning, whether a prospect decides to excuse themselves and go to the restroom, that salesperson is just going to continue with that presentation as if that person didn't get up, right? Imagine if a salesperson had a prospect excuse themselves to go to the bathroom, and then when the prospect came back 5 minutes later, and the salesperson just started or restarted 5 minutes later in their presentation, and they skipped those 5 minutes. Right? Well, that would be absurd. Of course, a salesperson wouldn't do that. Why? Because everything that a salesperson does and says and shows and presents is designed to further the sale, just like with you. Everything that you do and say and show and present in your marketing campaigns should be there for a reason. It should be necessary. It should be critical to establishing a belief, to leading the prospect closer to accepting the thesis. If there's a piece or part or aspect of your product of your marketing message that doesn't do that, then it shouldn't be in your campaign. So if we go forward with the assumption that everything you're doing and saying and showing in your marketing campaign is serving a valuable purpose, then why would we arbitrarily want to allow somebody to skip a step? Why would we want to send out an email about video 3 to a prospect who hasn't even watched video 2 yet? We shouldn't do that. And so what the behavioral triggered consumption sequence does is it maximizes consumption for you. It's designed to drive people to consume as much of your marketing message as possible. And it's based on what it is that prospects do or don't do. Now, the way this is broken down in this simple diagram is it starts with video 1 follow-up. What I mean by that is that somebody opts in to receive access to the video series, and they get an email for video 1. Now, assuming that they go and let's assume that they go and they watch the video, that first video. Well, then the next day, we will automatically put them into the video 2 follow-up sequence. So because they watched video 1, because of their behavior, the next day, we trigger video 2. Now let's assume for 1 second that we send an email about video 2 and the prospect doesn't click on the link and go watch video 2. Well, the next day, we're not going to arbitrarily send them an email about video 3. No, we're going to send them another email about video 2 with a different hook, a different angle, a different benefit, a different reason why they should go watch. Now, if at that point the prospect clicks on the link and goes and watches the video, because of their behavior, we then drop them into the video 3 follow-up sequence. And now the next day, they'll get an email about video 3. Now let's assume again that the prospect gets that email but doesn't click on the link. Again, we're not going to arbitrarily move them on to video 4 because I want them to consume video 3. There's valuable content in there. So the next day, we trigger another email about video 3. Different hook, different angle, different benefit, different reason for viewing. If the prospect still doesn't click, the next day we'll send them a third email about video 3 with a different angle, again, a different benefit, a different reason for watching. Now, if they click on the link and they go watch video 3, we then move them to the video 4 sequence. And of course, the process continues. Now, what happens if they don't click any of the links to go watch video 3? Well, we, of course, at some point have to move them to the next piece. We're going to attempt to maximize consumption, but if they don't consume, we're going to move them on to the next piece. We're not just going to stop right there. And so the thing for you to see is that prospects can move through this type of sequence. And these are really mini email autoresponders that make up the overall follow-up sequence for this campaign. Each one of these mini email follow-up sequences or email autoresponders have 3 emails in them that are triggered one day after another. And the speed, the timing at which a prospects go through this type of sequence is dependent on their behavior. Somebody could legitimately go through this in just 4 days, right? Somebody else, it could take 5 days. Somebody else, it could take 6 days. Somebody else, it could take 12 days, right? Like if they're not clicking on many of the links, or if they're not going and watching the videos right away. And so this is all about triggering follow-up based on what the prospect is or isn't doing, based on their behavior, based on their engagement. Now, we also, with a behavioral triggered consumption sequence, we do the same with retargeting. This is an example from a different campaign. And what happens here is we will display ads to prospects depending on where they're at in a campaign. So, for example, imagine this. Imagine somebody is at they watched video 1, but they didn't watch video 2. Well, what we could do is we could automatically display an ad inside of Facebook that drives them to consume video 2. And then once they've consumed video 2, Facebook would automatically remove them from that audience and then would display an ad for them to watch video 3. If they go and watch video 3, it would automatically take them out of that custom audience so that they wouldn't see an ad for video 3, and it would automatically place them in the custom audience to get them to watch video 4. So we're using behavioral triggered sequences within retargeting the same way we are with our email follow-up. The last thing, or the last piece of this behavioral triggered consumption sequence that I want to share is that when we use something like a multi-part video sequence campaign, one of the things that we also do is if an individual goes to the opt-in page, let's say they see an ad on Facebook and they go over to the opt-in page and they don't opt in, or they get an email from us about the sequence, about the video series, they go over to the opt-in page and they don't opt in and they leave. Well, of course, that behavior triggers a retargeting ad that sends them to what we call a reverse opt-in page. In this case, it gives them immediate access to video 1 in the video sequence. And at the end of video 1, if they want to opt in and get the rest of the video series, they can do that. So based on their behavior, we're triggering a retargeting ad, which sends them to a different type of page in order to give us a second chance to get the opt-in. That's an example of behavioral triggered consumption sequence. Now, the next secret sequence is what I call the offer intensification sequence. And here's how it works. Imagine that your prospect has seen your offer, whether it be that they went to video 4 in a multi-part video sequence campaign, or they watched your VSL and they heard your offer and they haven't bought yet. Well, what we do is we intensify the offer. We sweeten the offer. We make the offer better. Now, in our case, we've combined the offer intensification sequence with the initial segmentation sequence, meaning that what we do is we take prospects and we intensify the offer based on what bucket they are in. So let me show you this. These are 3 examples of 3 different emails that go out during the offer intensification sequence portion of the E5 Masterclass campaign, the original campaign that we used. And each one of these emails offers a different bonus, a bonus that is specific to the bucket that somebody is in. And so first and foremost, what I want you to see here is that we didn't just whip together some bonuses. We actually created bonuses or used bonuses that were appropriate for each different bucket. And then we customized, tweaked the emails to convey that. So if you look at this first this first email over here, you can see that it says it's perfect for you if you have a sales funnel set up right now that's not producing significant or any sales. If you remember from our initial segmentation sequence, that's bucket number 2. Over here, it's perfect for you if you're just getting started online, a different bonus. And then finally, and it's perfect for you if you're ready to scale your business big. So we're sweetening the offer. We're adding in bonuses. We're not just throwing in any old extra bonus. We've created bonuses that we know would appeal to the different buckets, would be valuable to the different buckets. And then we're sending custom emails to those folks in those buckets. Think of it like this. You're adding more value to your offer. You're sweetening the offer. You're giving them another reason to buy. And in this case, you're giving them another reason to buy that is specific to where they are at, to their bucket. Next secret sequence is what's called the urgency sequence. And this is super simple. Basically, what this is this takes place the last 24, sometimes 48 hours. This is where we count down to the campaign deadline. Now, you wouldn't believe, maybe you would, how strong of a motivator fear of missing out is, right? This deadline drives people. Today, it's not unusual for evergreen campaigns, especially evergreen launch style campaigns, to see a tremendous spike on the last day, really in the last hours before the deadline. People procrastinate, people put things off. And once we're in that last 24-hour period and we're able to really tap into that urgency, it drives people to action. Now, what most marketers neglect is they don't send enough contacts on that last day to their prospects. And so I highly recommend that you send anywhere from 2 to 4 emails on that last day, counting down to the deadline. You could see here in this one example, this was the lead or the beginning of our first email that was sent out early in the morning. This was the second email that was sent out. Ignore that little enrollment has closed. That was the image that gets displayed after the countdown timer reaches 0. We had a countdown timer in the email. You can see that this email was sent out 8 hours prior to the deadline. This is another email that was sent out, the beginning of the email, that was 4 hours away from the deadline. And this was another email that was sent out 59 minutes out from the deadline. The crazy thing is that every one of these emails drove sales, right? And as you get closer to the deadline, you will see a spike in sales, but you've got to stay out in front of your prospects. In this urgency sequence, we always use a countdown timer. We typically will use a countdown timer on the web page and somewhere in the email sequence. So in one or more of the emails, we'll use a matching countdown. You do not want to introduce a countdown timer too far out. Like, for example, you don't want to have a countdown timer 4 days out from your deadline, because it doesn't add urgency. If anything, it takes away from urgency. It shows prospects that they don't have to rush. There's no reason to buy now. They still have 4 days. And so we typically wait for the last 24 hours to introduce the deadline. Now, the tool that I use and recommend is what's called Deadline Funnel. This is a tool that was created by my friend Jack Bourne, and it is phenomenal. The thing that I love about this is that it not only allows you to kind of sync and coordinate countdown timers on a web page as well as within any emails, but it's also set up for more advanced tools like Infusionsoft and Ontraport and Drip and ActiveCampaign and whatnot, in that it will allow you to have a real deadline that is what's called hard-coded for a prospect, meaning it's not, if they switch to a different device, it's not like the timer is going to start over. If they jump on, your web page on their iPhone, it's not going to start over. It's hard coded. Well worth you looking into if you use any kind of deadlines in your marketing, which of course you should. The next secret sequence is what's called the transaction maximization sequence. And this really consists of a series of of things that we do in order to increase the average amount of money that the typical customer spends with us. Now, these are all used on the front end, meaning all used with customer acquisition campaigns. We don't use these with back end campaigns or campaigns with existing customers. We use these on front end campaigns because they serve the purpose of maximizing transaction value, maximizing what's called average cart value, the average amount of money that a customer spends with you. And so the first piece that we will include is what's called a bump offer. A bump offer is a simple offer, a checkbox offer right on your order form. So a prospect, when they hit the order form, if they want to add it to their order, they can check the box and boom, it instantly is added to their order. This is an example of a bump offer that we used with an offer that we put together with Robert Cialdini. Now, the thing that I want you to understand here is that the bump offer should be more of an impulse purchase. I don't recommend that if you're selling a product for $49, I don't recommend that you have a bump offer that's $97 or $197 or something like that. Think of it like an impulse item, the way you would see an impulse item at the grocery store or something like that upon checkout. Right? Those items are there because they don't take a whole lot of decision making. They're very easy to add to somebody's checkout. They don't require somebody to go back in and make a full-blown decision-making mode. You want to stay away from that type of bump offer because that will stop the checkout process. That will create friction in the checkout process. Instead, you want to go with bump offers that add a tremendous amount of value, are totally in alignment with the main product that's being offered on the order form, and that are a small percentage price-wise of what it is that the core product is priced at. I'll tell you that it's not unusual when done right, when you go the distance with this type of offer, this bump offer. It's not unusual at all to see 40 to 50% of your customers add this to their checkout. I want you to understand how enormously significant that is. Even in a case like this, with a $19 bump offer, call it $20 for simple math. If 50% of your customers at checkout are taking advantage of a $20 bump offer, that means you are increasing the average amount that each new customer is worth to you by $10. That's significant when you put it in the context of what are you paying to acquire a new customer? How much is it costing you to actually acquire a new customer? It is significant. It can radically change the economics of any marketing campaign. And so I highly recommend that you include a bump offer that you go the distance with on every front end marketing campaign. The next element in a transaction maximization sequence is what I call an add-on offer. Now, lots of folks typically refer to this as an upsell, but I don't use or recommend the traditional upsell. The traditional upsell, as taught by a lot of folks, is, hey, if you're selling a product for $397, go ahead and offer an upsell. Do what McDonald's does and offer an upsell that is up to 3 times that price. Meaning, if you're selling something for $397, offer an upsell that is $1,000, that's $1,200, that's, $1,500. Offer, they say, do what McDonald's does and offer an upsell. But here's the thing, McDonald's doesn't offer an upsell. In fact, nowhere in the real world of commerce can you go and are you offered something that is 3 times the price of what it is that you just bought. Right? You go in and you buy an iPad. You're not offered an iMac. You go in and you buy a men's suit for $3,000. You're not offered something else. You're not offered to become a partner in the store. You're offered a belt. You're offered a shirt. You're offered shoes. You're offered socks, right? If you buy an iPad, you're offered a cover, you're offered a charger, you're offered the Apple Care, you're offered something that is of greater value to you, that will give you additional value, that is a fraction of the price that you just paid. And that is the same thing we do. So here is an example of one of our training programs that we open up once a year. It's called the Entrepreneurial Planning Process. It's $397. And then we have an add-on offer that is the full day recordings of a training on how to implement this that I did for my highest level clients. That's just $97. It's a fraction of the $397. It's a fraction of what it is that they just bought, and it adds value. It gives them the opportunity to see how it is that I lead high-level clients through this entrepreneurial planning process. I highly recommend that when you have a high enough price point of your core offer, your main offer, that you use the reverse add-on. Obviously, if you're doing a free plus shipping or you're using a tripwire or something like that, you can't do the reverse add-on. But on all other occasions, even if you're selling a $49 product, a $59 product, you can use the reverse add-on as your first offer post-order form. And the last element of the transaction maximization sequence is what's called the second chance offer. And the second chance offer is exactly what it sounds like. It's a second chance for prospects to take advantage of one or more of your add-on or upsell offers that they didn't take advantage of when they were first checking out. So again, you have a prospect that watches one of your videos, they click the add to cart button, they go to the order form and they enter their credit card information, they press submit, and then they come to your reverse add-on. And then let's say they take advantage of the reverse add-on, so you present them with one more opportunity to get something else, right? Maybe that opportunity is 97, is 197, whatever. And they do not take advantage of that offer. Well, the second chance offer is when 48 hours later, you send an email to that prospect and you give them another opportunity, a second chance to take advantage of that product that they initially passed on. You make them the same offer that you presented them with during the checkout process, and you give them 48 hours to take advantage this time. What you'll find is that when you do this and you make this one click, meaning you don't require them to fill out the order form again. You send them back to a page, like you can see on the screen, that has a button that they can click, lets them know that their credit card on file will be charged. So it doesn't require them to re-enter their credit card information. You can see anywhere from 15 to 18% conversion on this, right? And that's significant when it comes to maximizing transaction value, increasing transaction value. So there you've got it. You've got the bump offer, you've got the reverse add-on, and you've got the second chance offer. And that makes up the transaction maximization sequence. Secret sequence number 6 is what we call the transaction ascension sequence. Now, this is actually very simple. This is used anytime you offer a payment plan. If you are selling a mid-tier or a higher price product, whatever that may be in your particular market for your particular audience, and you offer a payment plan, you want to come back and you want to give folks the ability to upgrade to a paid in full, right? So you go back to the people that said yes and took advantage of your payment plan, and you give them the ability to upgrade by paying their balance. And in exchange for paying their balance, they get some additional bonuses. The way I want you to think about this is that you are putting together a new offer. You're putting together a new offer that's going to go out to buyers on a payment plan that's designed to get them to say, man, why wouldn't I upgrade? I bought the product. I've been through a chunk of the product. If it's an info product or I'm using the product, I like it. I dig it. You know what? This is an opportunity. I'm going to keep it. This is an opportunity for me to get some additional bonuses that I wouldn't ordinarily get. And hey, I'm going to keep the product anyway. And so in our case, typically when we roll out a payment plan, if we roll out a payment plan, typically we give a discount if they pay in full. In this case, there was a $397 discount if they chose to pay in full. So we sent an email a week later to folks that took the payment plan. And I said, hey, now that we wrapped up week 1, I have a special video message for you. And it's a cool way for you to save $397 off of your E5 Camp Masterclass and get some cool bonus trainings as well. The $397 was the original discount that they would have gotten if they paid in full, and we give some cool bonuses to them. Now, the thing to know is that those cool bonuses already go to the people that paid in full. So it's not like these folks are being rewarded with anything that the paid in full folks aren't also getting. It's just that these folks weren't getting it when they were on the payment plan. Next is for the folks that do pay in full, we rolled out an additional offer for more value. Now, we didn't do this at the point of sale. We didn't do this during checkout. We also did this a week later. So a week later, this email went out to the folks that did pay in full. This invited them to participate in a live version of the masterclass in Orlando, Florida, with me and my faculty. And so normally this is $5,000. Because these folks paid $2,000, we gave them the opportunity to get a full credit, meaning that they could attend the live version for only $3,000, right? Or it was $5,000 for them and they got both the online program for life as well as the 2-day live training with me. So you're ascending individuals. People on a payment plan, you're ascending them up to paid in fulls, and the paid in fulls, you're ascending them up to greater value for you. Secret sequence number 7 is what we call the offer stacking sequence. And it works like this. I want you to understand that you can have a variety of different offers for the same product. The product, the deliverables, are only one piece of the offer, right? There are 7 different elements to an offer. The product is only one of them, right? The price, for example, is another piece. The terms, right? Is it 1 payment? Is it 2 payments? Is it 5 payments? Is it 1 payment a month? That's another element, for example. Well, the thing that I want you to understand is that you have the ability to roll out a new offer for non-buyers as part of the same campaign. So in this case, just as an example, you might have a $997 offer. You may you might put people through an intensification sequence and they don't buy. Well, if they don't buy at $997, you may roll out a new offer that is $549 at 2 payments. And maybe it includes another bonus, or maybe it doesn't include a bonus, or maybe it's the same, everything else is the same, but the price and terms have changed. And so that's an option, right? And for the folks that don't take advantage of the $549 at 2 pay, now you might introduce a smaller version, a tweaked version of the product. Right? So now we're introducing a different version. Maybe you pull out some of the deliverables. Maybe if you're in the information product business, maybe there's no coaching calls for them, or there's no consulting for them, or whatever it may be. And maybe now you have an offer for $269 and you follow up about the $269 offer. And for the folks that don't take advantage of that, you then follow that up with a 3 pay of $297. You could see that in this case, maybe the price and the terms are the only thing that changed. For the folks that don't buy that, you can then roll out a $69, a smaller version even. Maybe it's just the audios and there's no videos, there's no handouts, there's no cheat sheets or something like that, right? And so then you roll out a $69 version. And then eventually, if you want, you can go to a tiny version, a tripwire version, or a PDF handout for $19. See, this is one of the many reasons why I begin my campaigns high and then go low, rather than starting low priced and going up. Often, lots of marketers are taught to start low, start with a tripwire, and then go up from there. The reality is that it's much easier to start high and then go low. Not only does it set the right positioning for you as a higher level provider, but it gives you the opportunity at some point to go back to the tripwire. It gives you the opportunity, but at each one of these offers, offer 1, we get the cream off the top. Offer 2, we get the cream off the top. Offer 3, we get the cream off the top. And 4 and 5 and 6, all along at every single step, we are getting buyers. Now, the thing that I want you to understand is that this is all part of the same campaign. This is part of the same campaign. What we're doing here is, again, we're maximizing conversions, maximizing dollars in. We're maximizing what a lead into your campaign is worth. So you don't have to look at this as a new campaign, as a new funnel, if you will. It's all part of the same campaign. This is an example of something that we did, that we kind of discovered and tried for the first time. We rolled out for the E5 Camp Masterclass as one of those additional offers, as part of that offer stacking. We rolled out a pay nothing for 6 months, right? A PayPal financing, pay nothing for 6 months. And then if you pay it off within 6 months, it's interest free. And so it's even better than a credit card for folks. So it was another offer. It was the same deliverables, but it was different terms. Same price, just different terms. So we gave folks the opportunity to pay in full and get a discount. We gave folks the opportunity to go on a pay plan, and then we gave them the opportunity to pay nothing for 6 months and get access. And so just another example of offer stacking. And then finally, secret sequence number 8 is what I call the buyer stick and refund reduction sequence. And what this is all about is recognizing that that the sale isn't over once a new customer purchases. It's not about sales, it's about what you keep, right? It's after refunds. And so you want to be proactive and intentional about how you follow up with buyers in order to make the sale stick and in order to reduce refunds. Now, what we do is we send, this is an example of one of our buyer stick and refund reduction sequences. You can see these are a series of emails that get sent out over the course of 32 days. Now, the thing that I want you to see is that we give unadvertised bonuses. You'll see here's unadvertised bonus number 1, unadvertised bonus number 2, and unadvertised bonus number 3. And we let folks know, we let customers know upfront that we will be sending them valuable unadvertised bonuses over the next 4 weeks, right? And we get them excited about them. We don't, and by the way, we put together great unadvertised bonuses. We want those bonuses to delight them, to really blow them away, to exceed their expectations, to deliver exceptional value, just like any of our other products or any of our other bonuses. But here, and so what we're doing is we're delivering more value and exceeding expectations, helping to make the sale stick. As well, throughout this sequence, we are reminding customers about the benefits that they stand to gain by using the product, what originally drove them to buy the product. We're sending them case studies and examples and giving them motivation and reselling them. And all through that, we're giving them these unadvertised bonuses. Now, the thing that I want you to understand is that when we use a 30-day money-back guarantee, what you'll notice is that the third and final bonus, which is always the best of all three, which we let them know we save the best for last, comes after the refund period. If the refund period is only 30 days, you'll see how the final bonus comes on day 32. That is a refund reduction sequence. Now look, if you say that you save the best for last, then save the best for last. And don't send them junk, send them great stuff. That's how you make the sale stick. That's how you reduce refunds. That's how you exceed their expectations. That's how you over deliver value. And so that is the buyer stick and refund reduction sequence. And there you go. The 8 secret sequences that power our world-class marketing campaigns. Like I said earlier at the beginning of our training, you don't have to get started with all 8 of these sequences. Pick out one at a time and implement it, put it into your campaign. Eventually, over time, you can add all 8 of these secret sequences into your own campaigns. And when you do, forget about it. Your results are going to shoot through the roof. This is how you can push a campaign to double-digit sales conversions.